All right, guys, what's going on? Today is July 12th, 2026. Coming at you for the live stream for the next hour to talk about a little bit of House of the Dragon, X-Men 97, Silo, whatever else we want to talk about because it's our stream and we can do whatever we want. So how you doing, guys? What's going on? Hopefully you're doing well in this summer. You got summer vacation. If you're a teacher, you got a job or whatever you're doing like that too. Good for you. Enjoy it because you'll be back to school before you know it. So what's going down, guys? We're watching different shows. We watched a couple of different movies. And what are you guys doing for the summer? Are you excited for the summer movies? Hurry up, July 31st for the Spider-Man movie. I missed last live stream last week for 5th of July, even though it was 4th of July. I was on that Saturday. So happy belated 4th of July. Hopefully some people will join us today. But yeah, so Fight for Us 2, the second book reaction is going strong. House of the Dragon is okay. What do you think of House of the Dragon so far? Season 3, Silo, Season 3. What do you think? Anything there? Dutton Ranch Season 1 ended, setting up Season 2 and beyond. What's up, Negan? What's up, Tim? How we doing? So, World Cup has been great. The United States got eliminated by Belgium. You got Argentina versus England, France versus Spain. I said it before at the beginning that I expected and thought France would play Argentina in the finals. Still holds true going in. They're still both alive, but they easily could both lose. They could win. They can move on. We'll see if it's a rematch of last World Cup. A lot of people don't know that's who Argentina beat last World Cup was France. UFC 329 was yesterday. Big, utter disappointment in Conor McGregor's return to the octagon. He's got to be done, right? He hurt his knee, and so last fight he broke his ankle. Then he came back a million years later and hurt his knee. And I would assume he's got to be done. Unless he fights kind of a nobody. One last... I don't know what his contract is left. You get a couple fight contract deal. But Paddy Pimblett won. That's a big win for him going up against whoever his next opponent will be. I mean, it'd be kind of interesting to see what they'll do here and there. Maybe it's Ilya. When he comes back, that'd be a crazy fight. That'd be a good step in the right direction with their history. We'll have to see how it goes down. From is done, setting up season 5, the 5th and final season for next year. They started filming or pre-production or something. I don't know when they're actually going to start filming, but there's been all these posts online. So yeah, I'm going to assume it'll be filming whatever this year is, post-production, wrap it up, and then going to the finale next year. Comic-Con is coming up, and we do have a Dead City panel. Dead City is going to have a panel with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Lauren Cohan, Scott Gimple, and a couple other people. But I don't care. Not that interested in it at all. I'm going to watch it when it comes out in 2 weeks. So we're 2 weeks away from the return of Dead City. Hopefully we'll get some news about Daryl Dixon as well and the future of things. I mean, hopefully someone asks the question of, will there be more seasons? Will there be a reunion? Will it be this? And Scott and Gimple will be like, well, we're working on this. We're working on that. I'm sure he won't say anything that great because he doesn't. But hopefully he builds up I don't know if people care at all either, too, of Walking Dead anymore. But if they brought up, because I don't even know when it was, 3 years ago now, when Rick and Michonne showed up, they popped in and said, hey guys, we're doing this. Instead of the movies, we're going to make a show, 6 episodes, done, and how it is. Will they do something like that? That'd be pretty awesome if that happens at Comic-Con to get more buzz for The Walking Dead. I'm sure we're going to get some big news about Avengers Doomsday that comes out in December. I'm excited for it. Because the X-Men, hopefully you're watching X-Men 97 on Disney Plus. It's a continuation of the second season, which is great. Or the first season to the second season, I should say, from the 90s cartoon. And it just hits all the things when you're watching it. If you're an X-Men fan, especially an X-Men cartoon fan, hopefully you're enjoying it, I would imagine so as well. What's up, Brenda? Is it Brenda S 6652 or Brenda's 6652? So hopefully you're doing well and everybody's hanging in there, for this crazy summer heat. I know I'm in Florida, and if you're in other parts of the country or world, hopefully you're not melting because it is pretty hot all over the place. Where I live, and we haven't got much rain at all, even though it did rain yesterday, but we get few and far between rain showers. Was that a big tree? So if we can get a little more cool down with that a little bit, cut down the energy costs. My goodness, my energy bills are the highest of June, July, and August, or June, July, August, September. It carries over that way going into the fall and the winter. But, I am excited for the rest of the year. Yeah, real hot Minnesota. I mean, it's really hot everywhere, obviously, but I believe Negan lives in Arizona, and that's the crazy. So I was talking to a patient of mine who was living in, was it Tucson, or a different one part of Arizona, and one of them was in Phoenix, and it like varied depending on there too. Like it's really hot or really cold in the desert, like really hot during the day, obviously, but then really cold at night, and it gets just really crazy temperatures. So hopefully, and they're like, oh, it's a dry heat, but if something's 114, 115 degrees, that's crazy. It's still hot. It's still 115 degrees. I mean, I don't care if it's a dry heat or not. The humidity sometimes feels muggy and gross, but the temperatures around me, you really get up to like 92, 90, 88, whatever, but it feels like 104. It feels like 105 too. So Negan says finally cooling a tad in Arizona. Humidity is up. Rain is coming today and the rest of the week. Good dust storm last night. So, yeah, I mean, it's just wherever you live, it's just not okay. It's always hot or humid or muggy or gross or earthquakes or tornadoes or, hurricanes or whatever. It's just crazy. So, Hardnexy says, took me 7 minutes to bring up this live stream. So I'm back this week, so I'm glad to see you guys. I know I said it before that I missed you guys last week, but it was like 4th of July weekend. It was kind of a crazy thing and whatever. It just would have been a lot to make it here, but I'm back here as well. So for those who watch From, are you excited for Season 5, the final season? Season 4 was kind of a letdown. It's definitely the setup for the final season, and everyone's talking about the different things. Did they get all of the, things to protect them from the house? Did they get them away? Did they remember this one? There's one in the basement. There's one here. Whatever. Is Clara going to step up? Is this going to happen there too? Is what's going to happen with it? And so I believe I've been seeing all these different reports and all these different things that there's like one person that knows the ending. And so to avoid spoilers, they've started this way too, so they've been writing the show just like anything. If you write something, you got to know how beginning, middle, and end. You got to know how to start it, keep it going, and then wrap it up. And they said they always had the beginning and the not all the answers, but oh yeah, Hardnexy. So were you in Texas? I want to say Hardnexy, I believe. Because I remember talking about my friend going there for the CrossFit competition. He was in Frisco, Texas, and then maybe you traveled around a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for From just to wrap it up because of the conclusion aspect too. Like anytime you start something, you got to see it through. I mean, not all the time, but there's been very few things that I've stopped watching. Hopefully you stayed cool in Texas. I'm sure it was hot there too. But it's just definitely something that you start a show, a series, a trilogy, a movie, whatever, and it has a beginning, middle, and end. Sometimes it's rushed, sometimes it's this, but you gotta have to have it going. You have to see the conclusion of it, to wrap it up, and then move along with it. You don't have to, but it's just something I have to see how this ends, even if it's bad, And when you're writing it, it's got to be different, but you're trying to get from point A to point B. And I know when I write, I'm thinking about big moments and how do I get there? Like, oh, that would be great if I could have that. Like, they get to a mall, or they get to a ranch, or they get to a thing in like a oil rig, or they get to an island, or they get to this. How do they get there? Okay. Why do they get there? What's the conflict? What's the reason? What's the reason to get there? You know. And that's cool. So you went to Fredericksburg, Lake, LBJ, Austin, Dallas. I've only been to Austin and Dallas Love Field Airport, Arlington, and a couple little spots around there too. But Austin, hopefully, is still cool. I went there a long time ago for a bachelor party. Hopefully, Austin is still a good time. But yeah. So I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on in our lives. Obviously, hopefully you do too. I've been doing more investing. Hopefully, you've been doing that too. I recommend that time and time again because eventually I want to retire. I want to retire early. I was part of the FIRE. When I figured out what FIRE meant, the acronym FIRE, F-I-R-E, financially independent, retire early, and I'm like, okay, I think we can do that if we start to invest money here, there, really consistently. And next thing you know, I've been doing investing for like 5-6 years, and it's really going to be something I'm going to do the rest of my life. You know, buying different stocks. Like I've been organizing it a little bit and like buying some, selling some, but going for the long-term haul of good dividends. And it really helps out because it'll be able to let me know of just be able to do more with my free time. You know, work out more consistently, write more, enjoy my time at home with my wife and my cat, take care of my house, travel more, see my dad. So my dad is having a knee replacement in November, so I'm going to fly home for that and be there for a while. I don't know how long, but be there for. I have a one-way ticket right now. I didn't get my return ticket yet, and then my wife's going to come visit and be there too. So we'll have a little trip out of it. And so it's good to be able to do those things too, because you know my dad had a knee replacement last year, and being a physical therapist, I should have been there for him. But working full time, I couldn't. And so it bothered me, and I told him if he's going to get the other knee replaced, I'm going to make an effort to be there, and so I'm going to be done working with my current job at the end of October to get there for my dad early November. Because that's what matters to me. Looking back on it, I'm not going to care about my job that I worked for, you know, so many months or years or whatever it is. But I want to be there for my family and people to remember that too. Remember I made the effort to get there, and it's something that you know, there's a whole bunch of emotions going with it. You know, I'm not nervous but anxious about traveling and doing that, and then you know making sure everything goes well with his surgery and taking care of him, and then coming back home and my wife and my cat and my house being away. You know, it's just all those different things. But you know how it goes, and but that's just what's going on with us. You know, we're doing well. Hopefully you are as well. Comic-Con will come up very soon. We got the Home Run Derby on Monday for the All-Star break of Major League Baseball, if you care about that. World Cup is going strong. So, thanks, Tim. I appreciate that. You know, it's tough because when I live in Florida, as you guys should know, but my dad lives in New Jersey, and I'm born and raised in New Jersey, in South Jersey. And so my parents got divorced when I was 2 years old, and so my parents have lived pretty close to each other my entire life, and they live even closer now in retirement, not by design, not by accident either, I guess by chance, that they live probably 20 minutes away with traffic and lights and whatever, so it's really not far at all. So when I go home, I'll be able to see both of them and see my friends and everything too, but you always got to make time, you know. I mean, you don't have to, but if it means anything to you. Just like when you watch shows and movies, you know, sometimes it's just an escape, and you go and you just live it up, and you get immersed in The Walking Dead, which is not reality. You know, like it's not a documentary. Or you watch you know, House of the Dragon, which is not a documentary. It's got dragons and medieval stuff, and it's fictional of some, you know, Game of Thrones thing, political drama of the Targaryens trying to survive, and they have all the power, but then they have no power. It's just a crazy twist and turns and backstabbing thing, and it's a very political drama with action tossed in there a little bit and whatever. And so overall, season 3 is still early in its run here, but hopefully it picks up a little bit. And you know, it's always good to see the dragons actually being there, because that's what it is, House of the Dragon, so which is Targaryens as well. Hard Nixie says, great air show and fireworks display July 3rd in Addison, Texas. Able to watch it from the 5th floor hotel room in Dallas with binoculars to see. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, I when I go outside for fireworks, the mosquitoes bite the crap out of me, especially around my ankles and legs and everything. And so they don't leave me alone. I'll be the one smacking my leg and getting bit up. So in my neighborhood, it was kind of chill. It wasn't too bad this year. Some people did fireworks. But down away from my neighborhood over the tree line, some of the fireworks were pretty good. And they went on for like 40 minutes. Like, it was kind of crazy. And so we had our own little fireworks show from the comfort of our living room. It was pretty great. So, yeah. Sounds like a good time. You got, watching fireworks there, a soccer game on there. You got here, it's just pretty cool. I know we were watching. We're trying to wrap up Home Improvement on Netflix because it's going away in July, and I'm glad I saw that it's leaving at the end of July because we're on season 7 of there's 8 seasons, and so we were trying to wrap it up because I don't want to like not finish it, even though I've seen majority of these episodes when they aired many years ago in the 90s, but especially the older ones. I don't think I've watched it later on when they finished season 7 and season 8, but I might have. I can't remember. But I'm watching it now. My wife and I are watching it, and we're on season 7. And and the shows now are like 8 episodes. Like Dutton Ranch was 9 episodes. I think Xmen 97 is 9 episodes. Silo is going to be 10 episodes. Things are going to be 9, 10 episodes. Some things are 6 episodes. And you have back then Home Improvement. Every season was like 20 some episodes. Like, I mean, I think we're on episode, I don't even know, 15 or something of season 7. I think there's like 25, 27 episodes or something like that too. So we have, 12 episodes left of season 7 and then 25 episodes of, season 8. And it's going to wrap up in, 31st. So it's 2 weeks from Friday. So we have to knock out 2 to 3 episodes a day, which is not bad because they're 22 minutes. But it's kind of cool to see that and have a thing. We did the same thing with Sons of Anarchy when that was on. We were watching that on, I think, Hulu or something, and it was saying that it was leaving. So we're like, oh man, we got to watch how this ended. Because again, that would suck if you didn't get to see how the ending, what happened with, the characters. So Tim says, I watched an older show called Good Girls, reminded me of back in the day, Weeds, and also Ozark. Nice. There's probably a lot of shows that, like, I didn't even know existed, because I told you before, like, I never watched Everybody Loves Raymond when it was on TV. It was just something I didn't watch. And I'm glad I didn't, because my wife and I watched the entire series on Peacock. And it was great. We would watch 1 episode a day for however many long seasons and whatever it was. And it was great. And it's a good show. And I'm glad we got to watch it that way. So right now we're watching Below Deck Mediterranean, which actually is docked in Croatia, where they film a lot of Game of Thrones. So they film in Dubrovnik, which is King's Landing. And I've always kind of thought it'd be cool to go get a tour of some of the filming sites and the locations and everything, but it's different if you go to Sonoy, Georgia, and parts of Georgia or parts of Atlanta to see different filming locations. Especially being in Florida, it's not that far of a drive by any means. And it's kind of cool to be there. If you've never seen filming locations and you care about that stuff, some people don't. Just like some people don't care about meeting the celebrities or going to conventions. And I'm seeing more and more of the Walking Dead cast still doing conventions. I think they were just in Paris, France, doing a convention. And there was a lot of them. I mean, like a lot of them too. Like it wasn't everybody, but it was a good amount of the cast that was there. And I didn't see any, spoilers or anything like that. But it's kind of cool to see that them still coming together, and I really do hope that there is a final season of The Walking Dead, even if it's 6 episodes or 10 episodes, and gives us closure. But now that they're done, the comics are done, and they've been done for years, and the shows are past any of the comic story arcs. Dead City is just for the show. The, World Beyond, Daryl Dixon, The Ones Who Live, just all that's past any of the comic arcs, which is fine. And some of it works, some of it doesn't, but I think we all just want to have those reunions and closure to the story and then finish it. And then you can always come back for, Walking Dead, whatever, and this and that, and maybe you have different, people come back. And I just hope they don't ever do like a reboot. Like it starts again with a new Rick Grimes and a new Carol and a new Lori and a new Shane and a new Carl. Like that's just annoying. I don't need remakes, reboots, whatever. Just continue the story of it. You can have that being whatever, and you can expand upon the story. But I don't need all new people playing the same parts. Which, I don't know how you feel about that stuff, but when they try to remake stuff, it just doesn't make sense. Like, Xmen 97 works because it continues the original cartoon. It doesn't remake it. You don't have the same story from the very beginning. It continues from how it ended on there, and it expands upon it. We want just addition to. We don't replace of. If you're trying to replace or, change things, that just doesn't make sense to me, too, so. Yeah, Tim says, I was reading something that when Dead City comes back, Negan and Maggie gonna get along better. So, I think so. I mean, I don't know too many spoilers besides the main one that we're gonna get a altered, I hate to say universe of Maggie and Negan in at least one episode that you get to see a character come back, and if you know the channel, you know who I'm talking about. Somebody comes back for an episode. And it's like a what-if scenario if Maggie and Negan were, I guess, together, or at worst case, friends. What would it have been like in New York City with them walking around? And so it's the classic tale of someone has a fever dream or a what-if scenario or their, whatever, or a dream sequence. But yeah, I mean, I think hopefully Maggie and Negan can work together for a common goal for whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, Maggie should just leave and Negan should be running New York City. Because I think Maggie and Negan being forced together hurts more than it helps. Like, when you have a show that has characters that don't get along, it just gets really annoying real fast. And if it's season after season after season, because this carries over from The Walking Dead. It carries over from season 6 of The Walking Dead. So all those seasons, plus the extra stuff, and now the spinoff, it's just kind of annoying. And I don't think anybody wants Maggie and Negan to get together. But I don't think that would be really stupid. I mean, the writers can do whatever they want. No one's going till they're gone, and never say never. But I don't think majority of people want to see that. But again, at the end of the day, they're going to do whatever they want anyway. It would be a slap in the face to the fans of Glenn, Abraham, and Maggie. Now, if you're a Negan fan and he ends up with Maggie, do you even care? Like, I don't know. That's a good question. What would be the poll question of that too? Like, do you want to see Maggie and Negan get together? Because I think Maggie and Negan need to work together to accomplish a goal. Maggie wants to take over New York City, and you could do this, and you could do that, and you have to go against the New Babylon Marshals, and it just has to be something that our group, our core people, run stuff. Like it always happens where our group gets somewhere, there was an oasis or utopia or something great, and then they ruin it, and then they have to rebuild it or go away from it on there too. Like Alexandria, Hilltop. It's just prime examples of that too. So I just think that Negan and Maggie are going to work together to take over New York City. And which would be a huge ask because Negan is charismatic. Yes, he's at this point anti-hero. You could say villain, but you know, I think Negan can schmooze a lot of people and work his way in and be a part of things. Maggie probably is a leader too, obviously from Hilltop and whatever. But I don't feel like those two people can take over New York City. I mean, there's going to be groups and tribes and factions and whoever. It's two people, like you would have to go there with the Commonwealth. And that would be kind of cool if they did that. Maggie and Negan say, we have these resources. Because New York City is a good distance away from Ohio. It's a big distance from the Commonwealth. This is not Philadelphia. This is not Boston. This is not New York. This is not, some part of New York or North Jersey. It's Ohio. You have to go all through Pennsylvania. And so if you set up a trade route and you set up something, but then I just want to see connections with the Civic Republic, Dead City, the Commonwealth, our original Walking Dead people. All you're going to do is have Maggie and Negan and Herschel from the original show, and you're going to force connections. You're going to bring on all these new people every season. New people this, new people that. Okay, this one's the funny one. This is the scientist. This is the dorky one. This is the nice one. This is the one that's connected with Negan, whatever. This is the artistic person. This is the whatever. This is the baker. This is the blacksmith. This is the roles that they play. And they kill this person, and this one's there too. And you bring in a little girl or a boy or whatever it is, But we know Maggie and Negan are never going to die. They're never going to be there. But where are we going with it? And how many seasons is Dead City going to be? Is it going to be 4 or 5 seasons? Because Daryl Dixon got 4 seasons out of it. Which I want to get a trailer for that. I want to see where they're going with that, and I want to see how that ends. I'm more interested in Daryl Dixon season 4 because it's the final season to set up potential connections, callbacks, Easter eggs, reunions, whatever, versus Dead City. Unless Dead City, but we would have seen and heard because people saw filming all the time, unless they were really good at hiding cameos and connections, but they weren't because somebody was really got spoiled for that. And it's not Rick, by the way. That would be amazing, but it's not. But we have an army of the Commonwealth, and we're not using them to fight against the New Babylon Marshals. Eventually has to be there. The Civic Republic has an arsenal of weapons. They have the vehicles. They have the things there, too, because the CRM, the military aspect of the CRM is gone. Rick destroyed that. Major General Beale is gone. This is gone. Rick and Michonne destroyed that. But the Civic Republic can go in and be the council and the connection and the governing body to take over the United States, North America, South America, some form of government, some form of area, and to build that up again. And that would have been kind of cool too if Daryl Dixon actually did something besides just go from France to Spain and deal with whatever. If there was a political official or some sort of way of them rebuilding the UN or something there too. Eventually, the governments of the world have to come together to be the governing body of the world to rebuild it. And at this stage of the Walking Dead universe, it's been so long. I mean, you're dealing with so long with it, but I don't know. So we'll have to see how it takes what happens. But so in the thumbnail is House of the Dragon. In the headline, it's the title is House of the Dragon, Silo, and Xmen 97. So hopefully you're watching Silo. It's an Apple TV show. It's on season 3. I've only seen the first episode of season 3, but it gets to start to explain things with the silos, with the government, with how they ended up here on there too as well. And it's interesting because it draws you in to say what's going on with the silos, who built them, how long they've been there for, and hopefully we're going to get answers. I don't know if it's going to be more seasons or what it is, but Silo is interesting on Apple TV. Xmen 97, you got to be an Xmen fan to enjoy that. But House of the Dragon. So House of the Dragon is great because the Targaryens are one of, if not the most interesting group in all of Game of Thrones. I mean, the Lannisters are, the Starks are great, and the Targaryens are the big three. And then you have all these other houses and all these other groups and all these other things and whatever. But the Targaryens have the dragons, and the dragons are awesome, and the dragons are CGI, and they're this and they're that, and they make all these noises, and they're not there, they're not real, but you kind of feel for them too, and dragons are going to get injured or hurt and killed. It's kind of like sad, but the Targaryens have the power, and they should have the power because they have fighter jets in a world of, just troops. They don't have tanks, they don't have things, even though they do have the bolts and the crossbows that can take out whatever they have, whatever they're called back then. But they have medieval weapons that could have went against the dragons. But so the last episode last week set up a big thing that I would think would take longer. That Rhaenyra, well, I guess the previous episode too, the 2 weeks. Rhaenyra ended up winning pretty quickly with help from Alicent, but it was something that I thought would take a little bit longer. But now we see that the Targaryens are still in power, obviously, but it's different Targaryens, and no one can get along. And when people can't work together, communication shuts down and things don't work. And it's very like trying to run. If you're a manager, if you've ever been a boss or a manager of a business, it's like, what do you do? Okay, so Rhaenyra takes over King's Landing, and her side won. But there's all these problems. Like, King's Landing sucks. King's Landing is the worst. King's Landing has nothing but problems, and people look to the king or queen for answers, for help for this. And they're infested with rats and infested with this and infested with these things. And you're like, who wants that job? It's like the president, right? Or the prime minister or whatever. Like, who wants to be the person in charge of every answer you give is going to help people or hurt people? Everybody wants help. But one piece of advice or law or strategy or whatever, or guidance or decision is going to help this person but could hurt another person. And how do you get to do that other two? She's been in power for like 2 seconds, and then she's getting a meeting to do this and do that, and they have no money, and it's just like crazy, like all these things. And Daemon's like, we have dragons, and we can do whatever we want. And you should, but Rhaenyra is nice. Rhaenyra is trying to be there for everybody, to help people and whatever, and that's not going to go over too well. Like, when you have a president or a prime minister or a person of power that is too much a pushover, and not to say she is a pushover, but when you're too nice, people will find ways to get around that and to use that. But also, Dan Fogler from The Walking Dead, he's a part in House of the Dragon. So it was kind of cool. I didn't know he was going to pop up in this season of it too. And, when you get to see people from The Walking Dead and you see them in different roles, to me, they're always going to be a certain person, It's always going to be, Rick and Daryl and Carol and whatever. For the rest of their lives, like Andrew Lincoln always going to be Rick Grimes. Corey Payton's always going to be Ezekiel, and it's pretty awesome. And the big thing about it is, I hope all the success comes from these actors. Like, I hope people get to keep working and doing things on theirs too. Like, and I think I said it before, one of the biggest stars and been in so many roles is Jon Bernthal. So we finish up The Bear. Maybe think of Jon Bernthal because he's in the Bear universe. It was just kind of weak how it just like ended. And it didn't need to be all those little small episodes and then a couple and 2 longer episodes and then it was over. It should have just probably been 4 episodes, 5 episodes at the most, but it is what it is. And, it's it's done, and it started off so good, and then it just didn't. I don't know. Then I had to wrap it up and clean it up. Tim says talk out there that Marshals will cross over with Dutton Ranch next season if it's just Casey could bring Mo coming to help against Mariano. Cartel just leave the rest of the Marshals. Yeah, so like Casey needs to be just the Marshall show needs to have a total reboot, rework, whatever. Like that can be totally redone because it was just so annoying to watch. The Yellowstone and Taylor Sheridan's writing was done in a certain way and context in there too that it was pretty different. It was pretty different to have that week in and week out. And it drew you in, and it was different problems and conflicts and the cinematography and how it was done. And Marshall's was just not that way at all. Marshall's was the discount version of any of that. It was the NCIS, like, everything is a bottle episode that carries over from the same episode, and if you missed an episode, it doesn't matter because you'll just catch up the next episode with the same stuff. And there was connections with the Native Americans and Casey's son. But that was it. It was like forced. And the way it was shot and the way it was in the storytelling, whatever, Dutton Ranch was done in a way that was familiar to us in the Yellowstone way. It was basically Yellowstone 2.0. Like they did the same exact thing. Like Rip is Rip. Beth is Beth. Carter was fine. He was a good actor. But then it kind of connects the dots with Texas instead of Montana. But Texas can fill in for Montana anytime. I hope that there is. I mean, I don't think the Dutton Ranch needs Casey. I think Marshals and Casey need the Dutton Ranch. And I would like to see that too if Casey brings his people or himself, that's fine too, to his family in there. I think that it works. And if it happens, because Casey is a good character. And Luke Grimes is a good actor, and I think he was kind of stuck with how they're portraying things and whatever. And get out of Montana, go to Texas and help your family. That's cool too. But Beth and Rip are great. Ed Harris is great. It just works. It's just a great show, and the way it ended was good, setting up season 2. I don't know how long that's going to be, season 2, season 3, season 4, if we're going to have a bunch of seasons with it. But hopefully there's just enough hopefully it's like two or three more seasons. I know Landman, they're filming that now for season 3, and I think all the actors got a pay raise, which I was not shocked, but so Ali Larter is not as big as Demi Moore in a name, in a history, in cinematography, in movies, in the history of production, and just Demi Moore's been doing it for a long time. And I think Demi Moore is going to get paid like $700 and some thousand an episode now, where Ali Larter is getting like $370 or something. Like it was like a difference of like $300,000 or $400,000 an episode. And Demi Moore's character, that could be anybody. That doesn't even need to be Demi Moore. Ali Larter really pulls off that character better than anybody. That I think it'd be really tough for anybody to be that actor, that character, and that actress. But either way, good for them. I'm glad they're getting good paid money because they deserve it. And Landman is awesome. If you haven't seen Landman, definitely check that out. That's one of Taylor Sheridan's, best shows for sure. I know Taylor Sheridan was just recently on Howard Stern, and he wrote a book it says, the title of the book, of Taylor Sheridan's book, is How Not to Die in Prison. And from the interview, Taylor Sheridan was working out at a gym, and he met this guy who's been working out there for a while, and the guy was an ex-con. He was in jail for a long time. And Taylor Sheridan, the man, became friends. And he found out that this man has an interesting story from being in jail and his experiences. And so that's what the book is about. This man's experiences, and I guess giving advice of what to do in prison. And hopefully none of us get to go to prison and you don't have to read the book, but it might be a good read anyway for it. But I know Taylor Sheridan, because Taylor Sheridan is involved in so much stuff. He's got shows, he got this. I don't care about Lioness, but I know that's coming out in August. I don't watch that show anymore. That's one of his weakest shows that I won't watch. But so Taylor Sheridan's a very busy guy, and so doing all these other things, and that's his latest thing that I saw. But it was just kind of interesting to see, what's going on with that, and overall, there's a lot of good shows still coming out, later this year, and hopefully Dead City is going to be worth it. I mean, Dead City hopefully is going to be a good season 3, because that show's been all over the place, and it's 3 seasons. Maggie and Negan are big names still in The Walking Dead, and we'll see what they say at Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con this month. So hopefully we'll get some big news about that, but either way, the Yellowstone universe is going strong, which is great to watch there. House of the Dragon is interesting. So I never read House of the Dragon. I never read any of the books from George R.R. Martin. So I like the idea of just watching the show and doing this. And then my wife told me, like a spoiler from the books, what happens to the characters that are left. And I'm like, huh. And I'm like, well, that sucks. And so then I read some of the article and read some of the stuff about it. Because you don't have to read a whole book now. You can just read, back in the day it would be the Cliff Notes. And now it's just like the breakdown of the books, because the George R.R. Martin books have been out for a while. And this is from a book that's actually been published, even though he has not finished the last 2 books of his Game of Thrones series that hopefully will come out before he passes on. And it's not left unsettled. Hopefully he's actually written them too, so. Yeah, I didn't see the full interview with Howard Stern and Taylor Sheridan, but I saw the one with Joe. There's another great interview with Taylor. He does with these guys from some ranch or something, I'm guessing in Montana, and they're like his people that he knows from the horse world, and they did a show about, being cowboys and the cowboy stuff with horses and whatever it is. And so that's a really good interview too on YouTube, and you get to see where he came from and how he wrote and everything. And it's interesting because Taylor Sheridan, yeah, Bonnie and Tyler just passed away. I mean, we're going to start losing a lot of people more and more because they're at that age now, or in their 70s and 80s, and so a lot of iconic people are going to be at some point starting to go. I mean, Sylvester Stallone just turned 80 years old on July 6th, I believe was his birthday. And so that's crazy. But Taylor Sheridan, I saw a couple little things on YouTube, but Taylor Sheridan said how he started writing that he was on Sons of Anarchy, was his show, right? And Sons of Anarchy was filming in California. And he had a part on Sons of Anarchy, and it was a good show, and it was a big show. But he was getting paid, I don't know, $10,000 an episode or something. Like, which is still a lot of money, right? Don't get me wrong, $10,000 an episode. So if he made $10,000 an episode and he's in 10 episodes, that's $100,000. That's still great money. But he had to go to a second job. He said that he had a second job because he couldn't pay his bills. Because after you get your money from the production, you got to pay your agency or your agent or your people. You get a piece of the money. You got to pay taxes. You got to pay all that stuff. And so he wasn't, netting a lot of money at the end. Grossly, he may make $100,000, but that's not enough to pay the bills, especially living in California. So he went up to the production people and he's like, is there any way I can get a raise? Charlie Hunnam, who played Jax Teller, the main guy, was getting paid, and Ron Perlman and people were getting paid very well. And he wasn't going to get that money, and he didn't want to get that money. And so they said, oh, let's see what we can do. Let's see. We like working with you, and we want to keep you around, but we'll see. So they said, okay, we'll give you $15,000 an episode for 10 episodes, and we'll guarantee you 10 episodes. And he starts doing the math, and he's like this and that and whatever, and it's like the same amount of money. It's not a big enough raise for what it was. And so he's like, yeah, I can't do that. I can't accept that. So they say, look, buddy, you're a nobody. We can get anybody like you. You're a dime a dozen. You're nothing. You're not anybody that great. And so he's like, you know what, F this, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore, and whatever, too. And then he was written off the show, and he was done, and then Taylor left. And so he realized, he said it was the best thing that happened to him and the worst thing that happened to him at the same time, because he lost his job and his money, and he was in the show business and whatever. He was like, I don't want to be an actor anymore because I don't want to be this. I'm never going to be the main guy. I'm never going to be the top guy on the call sheet. I'm never going to make the most money. And so it comes down to value, like who values you. And he saw during the production that the people that were making real money and good money were the storytellers, the people, the writers, and the people that wrote stories, and they were giving the story. And that was where the money was at, really, for him. So he's like, I'm going to write my own story. And so after that, he started to write more and more and more. And so I don't know if that's when he wrote Sicario and whatever, but I know that he wrote Mayor of Kingstown, and then he wrote this, and then he had Sicario was his main writing, his first writing that was actually turned into a production and a movie. And so that's cool. But it probably was stressful and crazy and just all these different things, because you're like, I have this show, and I'm part of this production, and I'm part of this thing, and you feel like you've made it, and you're doing great, but you get typecast, and you get stuck, and you get limited. And he had to make that decision, and he left. And what if he never left? What if he stayed on that show, and he became this, and he did odd roles and odd jobs, and he got on different roles and different things, and he didn't write anymore, because without that turn of events, he doesn't write Mayor of Kingstown and write Sicario and write, Hell and High Water and Wind River and Yellowstone and all the other things that make him now. And we don't have Dutton Ranch. We don't have all that stuff too, And I don't know the main story with George R.R. Martin, but I know George R.R. Martin wrote many books before he wrote Game of Thrones. And so he had a bunch of other publications before that weren't that successful. And he really hit it big with Game of Thrones, obviously, because it's a bunch of books and a bunch of shows, and it's made him a bunch of money and a bunch of this and a bunch of that too. And so, it's pretty great, and things go down the road. And so, some things you have to go, you can't, they say like one door opens and one door closes. You have to close the door first before you walk through the next door. I mean, you don't have to. The door can just stay open. You go through the next thing. But you feel like you have to go in, and you have to go down these paths, down the road. Like if you're just going down the same road over and over and over again, you're not going to be able to go anywhere besides the same road for your house, your job, or whatever. But if you take the highway, you get on I-10 or 95 or 75 or whatever, you can go to anywhere, parts of the country that you couldn't go before. But if you stay on the same local roads, you won't be able to do that too. So you got to be able to sometimes take a risk and jump on it and go there as well. But a calculated risk, And I started writing a book series because I was interested in writing it. And The Walking Dead was a main catalyst in my life, and I was like, that's a good idea to write a dystopian universe story that's loosely based on myself and my friends and my wife and my dad and everything there as well. And then it just kind of snowballed into this whole big thing, and now I have, I don't know, 25 books or something. And it started with nothing. It started with an idea. And I'm sure you guys have ideas all the time. And you can create something. But I would say start now. Really should have started yesterday. But that's okay. Getting started, getting motivated, getting a computer, Word document, Microsoft Word, and just start typing. Or a notebook, or whatever. You can buy a notebook now for, I don't know if it's the back to school deals or whatever. You can go get a bunch of marble composition notebooks for like a couple bucks. pens and paper, whatever on there too, and just start writing and come up with something. You never know. And then turn it into something and then organize your stuff and, you never know. Now, we're also watching a series on Netflix. It's called Worst Neighbor Ever. The other one we watched too was a documentary called like Maternal Instinct. And it was about a woman in Oklahoma or Texas that was with this man, and she was, pulled over with a baby. Like, it starts with her getting pulled over on the side of a road. And she's like, I'm trying to get to the hospital. My husband's there, and I got to do this, and blah, blah, blah. My baby's not breathing. And they're like, oh, you just gave birth? And she's like, yes. And then the story unfolds, and it's like this crazy story. And then another documentary that's a separate thing. That one's called Maternal Instinct. There's another documentary series. It's 4 episodes. It's called The Worst Neighbor Ever. And the first one's about this neighbor in Kentucky that they're not getting along, and there's a problem with these 2 women, and it's just crazy. And then the next one we watched is about this lady living in Indianapolis, and it's a nice big neighborhood with friendly people, and it's a nice good spot on there too. And then this guy starts dating this woman, and then there's problems, and there's this, and then this massive fire. It's just nuts. It's just crazy. And you're like, these definitely are the worst neighbors ever. And then you start thinking about like your neighbors, right? And I'm like, I don't want to mess with nobody. I want to keep to myself. Whatever. When people are shooting off fireworks, I'm like, enough of that crap, whatever. I'm sure I got to take care of my yard better than some people like sometimes, but I'm like, whatever, But it's just kind of crazy. But the big thing about it is just nuts. And so if you want to see some crazy people out there too, check out Worst Neighbor Ever and Maternal Instinct, the 2 documentaries on Netflix. But yeah, House of the Dragon. Is it episode 4? 3 or 4? Is it 3 or 4? I can't remember. It's comes out tonight. We watch it on Mondays because it's late on Sundays. We watch it on Monday, and then Below Deck Mediterranean comes out on Monday, so we watch that on Tuesday. And then Dutton Ranch is done. The Bear is done. We're trying to figure out stuff to watch. We're trying to wrap up. Gotta get check out Silo on Apple TV. It comes out on, I think, Fridays. Xmen 97 comes out on Wednesdays. And it's back to the old school of like watching stuff each week because it airs. It comes out every week, weekly episodes. Except The Bear was put up all at once on Hulu. And some things that are put up all at once, I still kind of drag it out a little bit. Because I'm like, you watch the show, like everybody now who loves From is like, what do I watch now? What do I watch now? And that's a weekly episode, weekly show. It comes out every week. But what do I watch? And then some people are watching Lost to see how the writers may be and how they want to do things with it on there too to figure out some different stuff. And so I have to figure out, and people are asking all these questions. Did they get all the talismans? Did they do this? Who's still alive? Who's going to be this? Did something come out of the lightning? It's just, there's just no way to tell. Like, there's just nothing. I mean, it's a fun little food for thought, what if scenario. But the writers are going to do whatever they want. Come, season 5, episode 1, what are they going to do? Is it going to be the next morning? Is it going to be that night? Is it going to wrap up just like the first season started with Boyd and his, Belle? Are they going to find out about Sophia? Is Clara going to tell people? All these questions. And then they're great questions, but no one knows the answer until we actually see the episodes. There's just no way to find out. But it's interesting. It's one of those things my dad's like, every time I talk to him during the week, he's like, oh, I've been watching more From. Man, that's a weird show. Man, that's a weird show. It's a weird show. I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's designed to be weird. It is what it is. There's other things in play there and whatever, but it draws you in. And that's ultimately what they do. They draw us in to see what's going to happen with it. Tim says, can't see my two neighbors with the leaves this time of year. So it's good. I like privacy. I like being alone by myself, being kept alone, being away from people on there too, you know. I don't want to cause any problems or have it being loud and annoying and wild parties and fireworks and just everything, you know, around the neighborhood. I want to be quiet, nice, calm, quiet neighborhood. So, you know, I got 5 more minutes for this stream, and you know, I was thinking about things about the future of the live streams and whatever, and I enjoy talking to you guys or whatever, but I may be taking some time off, maybe until Dead City comes back to talk about a couple of different things, and Comic-Con, some bigger news on there too. But again, I'll always post, let you guys know if the stream's on or not for that. It's just, you know, I enjoy talking to you guys and being here, but it's kind of like I gotta wake up early, go to the gym, come back, have breakfast, do all these things around there too, do this for an hour to come there to do laundry later. It kind of breaks up the day. It's kind of in the middle of the day for it. But, you know, I do enjoy it, so that's why I keep doing it. But just being open and honest, transparent, and, you know, I want to do it for as long as I can, especially when there's Walking Dead content, House of the Dragon, and certain things, topics to talk about, some big things to talk about for everybody. But the end of the day is I got to just kind of do what's right for me at times. And so I just try to be there for it. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this hour? You know, like, because I try to be proficient in my time each day. You know, like if you took an hour out of your day and did a task and this and that and whatever it is, an hour of your day to devote to anything, you can get a lot done. Like if you want to be like, oh, I'm going to write, right? Put the phone away, do this, have the Word document open, boom. All right, what are we going to do here? An hour is a long time. If you're going to work out for an hour, you know, shopping for an hour, cleaning for an hour, cooking, laundry, whatever, devote that time. And it's only 1 hour of the day. If you can break up your tasks like that, I know it's one of those things for us in a perspective. And not to say you guys don't do that already, but I always try to talk to my patients about it too. It's like you have 24 hours in a day. And if you go to bed at midnight, which I go to bed at, you know, 10 o'clock, you get up at 6 or 8 or whatever. So simple math is you go to bed at midnight, you wake up at 8, you just lost 8 hours of your day sleeping, which is fine. So you have 16 hours to do whatever you want. And if you're cooking and cleaning and going to the bathroom and doing this and watching TV and doing this and going to appointments and whatever, just say it takes you 12 hours for all that stuff. You still have 4 hours of your day to do whatever you want. If you want to take a nap or meditate or read or organize or clean something out. And even if you took a half hour to go do this and a half hour a day, being consistent with something is where it's at. The consistency is key. So whatever you're trying to do, if you're trying to write, if you're trying to start a channel, start a business, start a career, investing, whatever, consistency, length of time with it. You know, there's a big quote that stands out from Warren Buffett and investing, but it works, it makes sense. It's not about timing the market. It's about time in the market, being there for a long time. Like, it's going to be very rare that you can jump in at the perfect time. And maybe you do, but it's very more likely that you won't, especially with the stock investing here, there, whatever. If you're into, you know, SpaceX or Tesla or Amazon or Google or Facebook or whatever, Microsoft, Apple, Verizon, Pepsi, Coke, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever you like. Try to just do the best you can with what you got and just do it for, you know, a little bit. A little bit goes a long way, and then it adds up. Over time on there as well, you know. But thank you, Hard Nixie. She says, do what is best for you and your life and family. And I mean, I will. I mean, I definitely ultimately will. And eventually I'll be done with live streams. And maybe, you never know, I'll pop one up and be like, hey, guys, remember me? But no, I'm not. I was just talking, you know. I just like to be open and honest with you guys. And, you know, because in this world nowadays, especially on social media, there's a lot of fake people. And I don't like fake. I like real. Open, honest, legit, real. And, you know, there's a lot of people even in this space of The Walking Dead, that just say a bunch of nonsense, get you to click on stuff, cause problems, do whatever on there too, and that's their name of their game. But yeah, it's just kind of annoying with it. And so we'll see where life goes, and I'll let you guys know. But just being how it is and being there. So enjoy House of the Dragon tonight's episode. Anything else that you're watching on there as well? Like I said, it's July 12th, 2026 that we do this stream. You know, we'll be going for hopefully the rest of the year. Well, probably until I got to go back to see my dad early November. So at worst case, I would do it from now to October with hit or miss times and maybe sporadic things or whatever. But with Comic-Con coming up and with Dead City coming back in 2 weeks, you know, but I'll let you guys know. I'll be posting a thing. If I don't post anything as a message or a chat thing on YouTube, it'll be on there too. So, but thank you guys. I appreciate you guys taking the time to be here for that. Like I said, enjoy the shows. Anything you're watching. Soccer comes back on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then the final is next Sunday. We'll see who's in it for the World Cup. Let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. Thank you guys. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And remember, guys, with hard work, dedication, belief, and sacrifice, you can truly achieve your goals, whatever they are. Keep working at it. You can achieve it. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you.